So it looks like Sony isn't going to be putting S-Log in the A9 after all, and that makes sense, right? Like, they don't want that to be a video camera. That's kind of a really fast stills camera, and that's what its niche is, that's what it's good at, that's what people want it for. If it could do everything, then there wouldn't be another reason to have another camera on the market, right? Like, it would make sense for that to be the only camera that Sony was really putting out there. So it makes sense for them to not put S-Log in it. Besides, the people that will be using it, the sports photographers, the news shooters, all those kinds of people are probably just going to be publishing it to the web. So it's easier for them if it's easier to work with, and they don't need that feature. It's all the hobbyists and, the target demos that it's not oriented at that want it, that want S-Log. And so from, that perspective, it makes a lot of sense why Sony wouldn't include S-Log. But I also want to talk about why it would make some sense. And I think it would make some sense because, you got 4K 60p in the 1DX Mark II, which you don't have in any other Canon, apart from their Cine cameras. The 5D Mark IV has 4K 30 now, which is cool. But getting those features downstream is really hard for big manufacturers. And Sony's been breaking the mold with that. And so by breaking that mold, by pushing those features onto a platform where they don't have any business being, much like S-Log 2 and 3 on the Alpha 6300 and Alpha 6500, by pushing those features that have no right being there, on the lower end back up into the flagship model, seems to make a lot of sense, unless the A9 is not their flagship model. And it appears that what Sony's trying to do is craft a larger brand identity than Nikon or Canon have even considered possible before. It feels like Nikon and Canon's perspective is, everybody wants, the 1DX Mark II, the Nikon D5, I hope I'm getting it right, or whatever. Whereas Sony says, we want to give you the feature sets that you want at the price that you can afford. And maybe the lenses aren't affordable, but, you have an Alpha 6000 that's 24 megapixels that can shoot 1080p 60. You have an Alpha 6300 that can shoot 4K 30 and S-Log 2 and 3, but without any in-body image stabilization. And then you have your 6500 that gives you everything you could possibly want, and a bajillion autofocus. You know what I mean? Like, what Sony does is it gives steps to that kind of organization. And so there's part of me that wonders, will the next camera that Sony, the next camera that Sony makes, will it be an A9S and it's 24 megapixels with incredible ISO performance? Or, where are they going from here? And by not putting S-Log in the A9, I feel like we get a lot of good indicators, right? I feel like Sony's saying we're going to kind of we're going to start segmenting away from where we've been coming from. We're going to start putting more lines in the sand to differentiate our products one from another. And I think that's ultimately going to help the consumer, because a lot of people ended up shooting on the A7R II for 4K video because they couldn't handle the complete lack of autofocus on the A7S II. And so that should be a big red flag to Sony, saying you need to put autofocus on the A7S III. And so that might be what they're trying to avoid. They might want there to be sales of the incoming A7S III, and they don't want people to buy the A9 hoping they can just turn it into an A7S III, because by all accounts, in terms of its ISO performance, it is. So those are just the kind of the thoughts and the thoughts that I had on Sony not putting S-Log in the A9, and the news of that being the case. So thank you very much for your time and for your attention. Please like and subscribe. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one.